Not funny, CJ. I did something like that at work the other night. And I just don't know what happened. Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had fun at the members only. I had a blast. But no, CJ, I turned to the other server, and I'm like, table 10, that's his birthday. And then I turned, and I picked up some ketchup and some silverware, and I turned back to her, and I started to say, oh, yeah, and also at table 10, that's his birthday. I had literally just forgotten a second ago I told her that, and it shook me. I'm like, oh, no. Am I getting... Is that dementia? Is that the first sign of dementia? Please tell me. Please tell me it's not. Just tell me it's work. You know, it's just at work, and it's a normal thing to do at work. No, I didn't get a new job, although somebody's hiring for full-time right now. All right. We're on part 3. I don't think there's 4 parts. I think there might be 5, but I don't know because there's an extra 30-minute segment I gotta wiggle somewhere. You'll see. You know what? Maybe I'll just send it to Bill. All right, guys, we did this much. Go watch the rest of it on Bill's channel. And then you won't be able to see the end unless you go to Bill's channel for the end. Oh, Micah knows people. Just let me say that I speak for the vast majority of people here, whether you want me to or not. We're Team Micah. Even if he's wrong, he's not wrong. Never wrong. Even if he was wrong, all of us, every Viber out there is Team Micah. Team Micah all the time. Yeah, I got rid of that headset. I really, really, really hated that headset. You have no idea how uncomfortable that thing was for hours. All right. Micah is my psycho. Yep. Let's get to this one.
All right. Any matters we need to take up at this time?
No, Your Honor. Oh, yes, Your Honor. Sorry.
In case you forgot, the prosecution rested, and now it's time for the defense to do their thing.
Your Honor, going through the counts, as to count 1, aggravated assault by grabbing Killian Henson by the neck and squeezing, I believe all the testimony has been from Killian Henson. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and move on through count 1. I think Killian at least said enough on the stand to withstand a directed verdict. As to count 2, I do think I'll make a motion for directed verdict as to count 2. Ms. Schubert said to law enforcement when they arrived that he tried to choke her. There's no other statements that she made. I know there's at least the evidence from just the doctor that testified that there was an anterior neck bruise that could be consistent with choking. But at the end of the day, the elements of that count are that he knowingly made an assault upon Lindsay Schubert with his hands by grabbing Lindsay Schubert by the neck and squeezing. And she's never told told police or anybody that she was grabbed by the neck and squeezed to the degree of strangulation. And so I'd ask for a directed verdict as to count 2 based off of, I don't think a reasonable jury or any evidence to suggest that Ms. Schubert was strangled as required for count 2. And then I'll move along to count 3, Your Honor, that aggravated assault for hitting Lindsay Schubert in the head with a metal chair, which is an object when used offensively is likely to result in serious bodily injury. I will note that there has been no evidence of a specific metal chair. And I do think that's pertinent to this count because
It's not wrong.
we're not dealing with a gun or a.
He's saying they said it was a metal chair, but it was really wood. So no, you can't do that.
Offensive weapon per se. And so the characteristics of the item or the object are, the specifics are important. And so based off of the lack of evidence as to any metal chair, and certainly at this point, evidence that we haven't heard an evidence that there was a metal chair that she was hit in the head with to a point that was likely to result in serious bodily injury. We haven't heard about anything like that. She had a 2-centimeter cut that resulted in a negative CAT scan. As to count 4, the indictment reads that he grabbed Killian by the throat and slammed him against a wall repeatedly. All of the evidence we have heard was that in that count, as to that count, Killian says that he grabbed him once and pushed him into the wall. The grabbing him by the throat and slamming him repeatedly is never testified to, and there's no evidence of that specific action as indicted. And then as to count 5, Lindsay never told anybody that he slapped and punched her in the head.
Nor did she tell anybody that he hit her with a mattress.
And all this stuff. So I think count 5, there just hasn't been any testimony that he was slapping her and punching her in the head. And so these counts are rather specific in terms of the way they're indicted. So grabbing by the throat, slamming repeatedly, slapping and punching in the head, all those things. And so with that, aside from count 1, I would be asking for a directed verdict on all 4 remaining counts, Your Honor.
Ms. Jackson?
Judge, I'll start with count 2, and I'll just go sequentially. Obviously, the standard is for the court to view it in favor of the non-moving party, which would be the state in this case, Judge. On count 2, likely to result in strangulation by grabbing Lindsay Schubert by the neck and squeezing. As the court's aware, on that count, all the state has to prove the way that it's indicted is that it's likely to result in strangulation, not that there was actually an impeding of air. Or
just so you know, we're not done with witnesses. So the prosecution put on their case, and now the defense is saying, yeah, we need to get rid of all these charges because the prosecution didn't prove any of them. But we still have more witnesses. The defense still gets to go.
Or anything like that, but that there was likely to cause issues with her breathing. And I think with the hospital records that have been introduced and testified through Dr. Negrani, that there was bruising around the front part of her neck, indicating there was trauma. I think also with the testimony that the blood vessels, that was indication that blood vessels had burst under the skin there on the front of the neck. The jury could easily find that that she was held around the neck and that there was trauma there, like the doctor said. And that did come from Mr. Henson squeezing her by the neck. And she also said in her chief complaint to the hospital that she was choked out by him, those being her words. Also that she admitted on the stand that she told the initial officer that that he tried to choke her out, which again goes to the likely to result in strangulation. So that would be my argument for count 2. Now count 3, as it relates to the metal chair language, Judge, I would just like to point the court to a couple different cases regarding fatal variances. The first, which I will cite to is Battles versus the state. That's 262 Georgia 415. That's an older case, a 1992 case. But Judge, in that case, what the indictment alleges is that the victim was struck with a wrench. And then the evidence showed that the victim was actually struck with a gun. So it was different. And the court said there that there was no fatal variance because both objects would cause similar injury if you were struck on the head with them. And so the court said there was no fatal variance there. But a newer case that I'll point the court to is a 2019 case. It's Maxwell versus the state, 348 Georgia Appeals 870. Again, it's a 2019 case, and that's really just a good case to state the total rule for a fatal variance. And what the court continued to look at was that there wasn't some sort of overly technical application of the fatal variance rule, but really just focusing on that materiality and what was being alleged. And what the court wanted to make sure was that the accused had the allegations really informed him of what he was supposed to be defending against, so he wasn't taken by surprise, but also that there wouldn't later be another prosecution for that type of offense. So if those two things were true, then there could be a fatal variance, but that wasn't present in the case or in the case before that.
No, she's not.
There are multiple other cases, Judge, that talk about this. Lawson versus the state, which is a 2006 case, is 278 Georgia Appeals 852. In that case, the indictment alleged that the victim was struck or sliced on the neck with a knife. What actually came out in evidence was that the victim was sliced on the neck with a box cutter. The court held there was no fatal variance there and applied that same type of two-pronged test that was discussed in the Maxwell 2019 case. And so, Judge, just based on all of those well-settled cases and case law, I would ask the court to find that there was not a fatal variance in the indictment on count 3 after the evidence played out, given that the metal chair and the bar stool are very similar in nature and there wouldn't be a subsequent prosecution of Mr. Henson for that. In count 4, I think Killian testified, obviously, that he was grabbed by the throat and slammed against the wall by his dad. I think at some point there was some testimony that he was lifted up and then slammed, and then somehow he ended up down like on the laundry basket. So I think there's enough there where the jury could see that as more than one time, given that whole circumstance and the way that that played out. And then count 5, Your Honor, discussing the contusions to the face of Lindsay Schubert by slapping and punching her. Again, Judge, I would just ask the court to look at the evidence presented by Dr. Negrani in the medical records that showed that there were contusions all over her face, and that any trier of fact could determine that that came from Mr. Henson slapping and punching her in the head, which is how she sustained the bruises, which is how she admitted that she was struck over the head with an object, and so on and so forth.
Anything else, Mr. Shapiro?
Your Honor, just that as to count 5, even the jury can infer a fact if there's testimony to support that fact. The testimony from the doctor is that there was a contusion to her, head, but there still has to be testimony that Mr. Henson slapped her and punched her in the head, and she didn't say that. And so that required element can't be inferred from Dr. Negrani's testimony without any evidence to establish that fact.
All right, as to count 2, I'm going to deny the motion for direct verdict. It got to be the evidence in the light most favorable to the non-moving party, which is the state in this case. And there have been statements, although maybe controverted, but there have been statements that Ms. Schubert said that the defendant tried to choke her out, that she was choked out. She told the mother that she was choked and that he beat the F out of her, I think is what she said. And
Judge, you're the only one that's really allowed to say it. And you do that?
then you have the corresponding injuries that were testified to by the doctor. So I think viewing the evidence in light most favorable to the state, there's sufficient evidence on count 2. As to count 3, that's an interesting question. I think that the testimony has been that Ms. Schubert was struck with a wooden chair or a wooden stool. And so if we were just taking these one word at a time, would it be a fatal variance to say she was struck by a stool instead of a chair? I don't think anybody would say that's a fatal variance, difference between a stool and a chair. So then the question becomes whether saying it's a metal chair versus a wooden chair or a wooden stool, whether that is a fatal variance. In this case, at this stage, I'm going to find that it's not a fatal variance. Don't believe that that the defendant could be subject to a successive prosecution on another case, the same actions, but saying, oh, no, it was a wooden chair this time. I don't think that would be the case. I don't know. That's something you can argue to the jury, but I don't think it's a fatal variance. I assume that every wooden chair has some metal in it, although you may not define it as a metal chair. Count 4, battery in the Family Violence Act. I think the word repeatedly is surplusage. I don't think Mr. Henson could say, I slammed my son up against the wall one time and caused injury, but I'm not guilty of this count. I think repeatedly is surplusage and therefore not subject to a directed verdict. So I'm going to deny the motion for directed verdict as to count 4. Count 5, admittedly, is the closest call, but I believe in this case, Ms. Schubert told Ms. Gibbons that the defendant had beat the hell out of her. She testified that there was an altercation. She reported to the hospital that she was assaulted and she had resulting injuries to her face and head. And I would say that's sufficient to survive a directed verdict on count 5. I don't know that there's anybody that said whether she was slapped or punched. She said she was assaulted. I think the jury can determine whether that was by a slap or a punch. I think Killian also testified that Mr. Henson and Ms. Schubert were in an altercation and Mr. Henson was beating on Ms. Schubert. So I'm going to decline to grant a directed verdict as to count 5. All right. Any other matters we need to take up at this time? You got some witnesses lined up, Mr. Shapiro?
Yes, Your Honor. And then we would anticipate, unless Mr. Henson wants to testify, which I guess we would have to talk about in a minute if he, I'm just kind of looking at you to know. Okay. Well, I guess one thing that will inform his decision whether to testify, if we could bring up the impeachment issue. I was looking at Ms. Jackson's notice of impeachment. I think the only conviction in there that would be admissible would be the 2017 conviction for possession with intent to distribute.
So now what they're talking about is all of his past crimes and whether they're allowed to talk about them in front of the jury.
Ms. Jackson?
If I could just have one moment, Judge, I'm trying to locate it.
Do what I did, Kelly. Use Canada. Thank you, Canada. Thank you, Canada.
Well, I don't know if Mr. Shapiro is making that argument just based off the 10-year rule or what, but what I'm looking at, there's at least 3 that have conviction dates within the last 10 years.
Wait, what? He has 3 charges? I didn't know that. Let me look.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the case numbers, my bad. Okay, yeah, there would be a theft by taking,
Crossing the road line.
crossing the guard line, and a possession with intent to distribute. Yeah. So just so you, Mr. Hanson, just so you're clear as to what would come in most likely if you were to testify.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about that on this, Mr. Shapiro? You want to take a moment and talk to Mr. Henson? Or are you asking for a ruling on these proposed convictions?
No, Your Honor, you're good. I'll talk to Mr. Hanson.
All right. The jury's supposed to be back in about 5 minutes. So why don't y'all take 5 minutes and talk and then be ready with your next witness, Mr. Shapiro.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Come back, Judge. Look tired. He's still trying to talk to his client about whether he's going to testify or not. Now, in case you missed it, if the client testifies, then all of his past charges can be brought in.
Yes, I don't know how to feel about it.
Thank you.
Trying, CJ, they're in the middle weird stage right now.
All right,
I named one of my cats Methany. Meth for short. And like, because truly, it fits her, really. So last night, I come downstairs and I call out to Methany. And there's my son. Yes, Mama. You thought I was calling him, and you know what? That fits.
okay, back here. My hope is that we'll get through evidence today, and then we'll do the charge conference this afternoon after the jury's gone. Be ready to do closes tomorrow. Think that's doable?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I cat.
So I didn't want y'all to have to panic and think I was gonna make you do closes tonight. We'll do that tomorrow.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Spiel, you ready?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Need to see any of these. On his connections.
Is Mr. Shapiro ever ready? Really? The
Um,
trainee is probably more ready than he is right now. I bet he really thought they were all going to get dismissed, and now he doesn't know what to do.
2 and 3. 2 and 3. So that's 2. That's 3. 2.
He didn't ask to impeach the judge. Here's yourself, Judge.
All right. Ready.
All right, did y'all decide on,
I got pulled over by the cops today, and they asked me if I had any drugs in the car. And I laughed because I guess that is a normal question, but I thought it was ridiculous. My car is literally duct taped together. I can't afford drugs. I can't afford drugs, officer. Are you crazy?
Mr. Henson, you wait, you want to wait on, you don't have to tell me now.
We'll wait, Your Honor. Think-
All right.
think about it.
Then, okay. You ready? You got your witness lined up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, bring the jury in.
She is. I got pulled over today, and the cop pulled me over for a valid reason. All right, just so you know. But then she's like, and by the way, you have a warrant. You have a warrant out for your arrest. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I committed a crime in New York, apparently, but I don't know what crime I committed, but the fine on it is $7. So she's like, the fine is $7. So I'm not going to arrest you today, but you need to take care of that. I'll take care of it. All right. It was my sister. I didn't do anything in New York. My sister did. And now I have a warrant out. I thought I had to stay away.
You don't have to.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Mr. Spirit.
Your Honor, defense calls Deputy Mark Treslo.
All right, Mr. Treslo, come on up.
Okay. All right, and if I could swear you in, sir? And you swear to tell the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. If you could first introduce yourself to the jury, please.
My name is Mark Treslo.
And Mr. Treslo, have you previously been employed by the Hall County Sheriff's Office?
I was
And when were you employed with the Sheriff's Office until?
until 2023, approximately April.
Okay. And I want to bring you back to April 15th and 16th of 2023. Do you recall a case involving Ronald Kevin Henson?
Yes, sir.
And were you the initial officer that responded to that call?
Yes.
What caused you to go out there? Like who called?
I went out there on the incident we're talking about here for a disturbance of the house that had happened on Saturday night. And I was called there to meet with the complainant.
And who was the complainant? Was that Lindsay Schubert?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you, when you go out to an incident, do you have body camera on you when you go?
I do.
And do you recall if at this time you had body camera?
Yes, I do. I did.
And do you recall submitting into evidence the body cam footage from your interactions with Ms. Schubert that morning?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, I would seek to publish and admit defendants to.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge, but may we approach this very briefly?
You may. All right, I think defense two's already been admitted without audio, so it's going to be admitted with audio, subject to any redactions you may make.
This. It's the first video. Thank you. You can use this.
Oh no, Sunday, I got a better idea. Change my name to Patty. Legally, change my name to Patty.
And so Deputy Treslo, going back to defendants too, that morning when you went out there, was it just you or did you have any deputies with you?
It started out as just me.
Okay. And when you first got out there, let me ask you, when you first got out there, and I'm going to go ahead and get to the part where you are speaking with Ms. Schubert, but
Thank you.
Jake, it might use the mouse and click, and it's usually easier
And my first thing is, sorry, I'm figuring out how to play this at different parts. Hello. Now, do you recognize that voice?
That was my voice.
Okay. And is that your voice on the body cam on April 16, 2023?
Yes.
All righty. And from what you recall, is this a true and accurate depiction of your body cam when you went out to the Bart Camp Road address on that day?
Yeah.
There it is, guys. There's my criminal record. York from 2022. I am a criminal. I'm a criminal, guys. I need to take care of this. It's in summons return status. I don't want to go to jail. Over $7.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Open it and VLC.
I'm going to apply for a public defender.
So I want to get back to the part where you, at this point, and that's at 151,
The dad that was
you're speaking with Lindsay Schubert, correct?
Yes.
And at this point, did you know any injuries either to her neck, throat, scalp, or any other areas?
No.
Okay. Now, I believe that at some point you go out there, not to this house, but you go to another address a second time to speak with somebody else. Is that right?
Yes.
And who do you speak with there?
I spoke with the defendant's son and family member and the defendant.
Okay. And now I want to go back to the defendants too. Do you then walk into the house at this point?
After meeting with these two ladies, I walked into the house.
All right.
Okay, it's a traffic citation. What traffic citation is $7? I even think like if you don't have your turn signal on, that's more than $7. What in the heck could be $7? The cop was specific. She said it's only $7, so I'm not going to arrest you today. And it says it's traffic citation filed, but it says it twice. That like it says it was filed twice. So maybe it's not $7. Maybe it's $350 and $350. I don't know. I have no idea.
And I'll fast forward to that. But, sorry.
Yo, I've never seen that. Nope, never.
Mr. Shapiro, if you'll just make sure you give us the times that you're playing the video.
Yes, sir. And now starting it back at 3 minutes and 21 seconds.
Julian.
Is this you walking into the home?
Yes.
Now I want to ask you, as you walked into the home, past the kitchen and anywhere else, did you notice any signs of blood or cleaned up blood?
No.
This is the officer that the other officer was talking all that shit about. This is him. This is his body cam. This is him going into the house.
At this point, do you go back to the, I guess, towards the back of the house or towards the basement to go talk to Killian at some point and talk to the defendant?
Yes.
And when you talk to Killian, what happens at that point?
Well, I talked to the defendant. Killian is the son.
That's what I'm saying. So when you got to Killian, what happened there?
I was walking in, and as I recall, he was sleeping on a couch.
Okay.
And he woke up and looked over at me, and we know each other. And so I think he might have waved at me.
Okay.
And then I walked back to a rear bedroom on this level of that house.
Okay. And then at some point, and this is approximately, is this at 9 in the morning-ish?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I want to go back to you being here. So you previously were with the Sheriff's Department but left shortly after this case?
Yes.
And previous to being with the Sheriff's Office here, how long have you been in law enforcement?
When I got out of law enforcement, I had a total of about 13 years.
And in between the time that you started law enforcement and returned to Hall County, did you do any other related service?
Yes.
Where was that?
I was in the United States Army on active duty for 5 years and opened a restaurant in Cartersville, Georgia. And
Judge, I'm going to object to anything outside of law enforcement experience. I don't think it's relevant.
Your Honor, they've brought up why he lost his job, and so I just want to show that he's been in law enforcement for quite a bit of time.
Oh, go ahead.
And so throughout your life, have you been in law enforcement?
yes,
Did you leave the Hall County Sheriff's Office in good or bad standing?
good standing, voluntary resignation.
Okay. And do you know who Investigator Collette is,
I do.
or Sergeant Collette now?
I do.
Did y'all have a working relationship at all?
I would not call it that.
Okay. Did y'all have disagreements about how this case was handled?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall her, or did she ever call you after the first time you went out there? Did you ever talk to, at that time, Lieutenant Collette?
She called me several times throughout the day.
And when she called you, what was she, without telling the jury what she said, what was she calling about?
She was calling with ideas about how I should handle this case.
And what were those ideas?
She believed that I think she had arranged for the victim to go to the hospital.
Okay.
And was trying to add different steps for me to take to deal with the aspect of medical care.
And at some point, did you go back out in response to that? Did you have to go back out and talk to Killian an additional time?
I did at a different location.
Okay. And is that, at that point, did you take out any warrants?
I did.
And what did you take a warrant for at that time?
Simple battery.
And is that based off of what happened with Killian?
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit more about that time spent with Killian. When you went over to the second address, did you speak to Killian with the defendant there, or did you split them apart?
At first, everyone was in the same room, and I'd been told to go over to the residence on Chastity Road, perhaps, and by Sergeant Collette, and speak with the victim.
It absolutely, it doesn't say $7. It says $6.57 I owe. $6.57 for says for a traffic citation. Traffic citation, $6.57. I don't understand. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to pay it and then not get arrested. I know I sort of do want to get arrested because I didn't do anything wrong. So it would turn out fine in the end, but I don't want to get arrested. I don't have time.
Or to speak with Killian and determine if he had any injuries.
And did you do that?
Yes.
And do you recall going over there that day?
Yes.
And was that recorded on body cam?
Yes.
All right, and did you submit that into evidence?
Yes.
Thank you. Judge, at this time, I'd like to submit defendants 3 into evidence and permission to publish the previous body cam that was on.
Can't be a parking ticket because I didn't do it. My sister did it. So she would have had to have my car, which she doesn't have my car. This had to be something that she gave my name for because I haven't been in New York in years. It had to be her. I mean, she's did it a million times. There's no way it's jaywalking. Is that a traffic violation? I don't know. I don't know. I just know what that says, $6 and whatever.
Any objection?
No, Judge, just subject to the redactions that we've spoken of.
All right, D3 minutes, you may publish.
Told me pretty clearly. I have a warrant out.
And I'm going to go ahead and show you what's marked as Defendants 3. I'll go into more of it in a second, but is this April 16, 2023?
Yes.
And this is approximately what time, sir?
I'd say about 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, okay. And let me ask you, skipping forward to about 4 minutes after 4:28.
You had it, it's fine.
Skipping to 4 minutes and 28 seconds.
What are you ladies doing?
Here,
What?
you might have to do VLC again.
Oh, yeah.
That's a better thing to open it with.
It's a shame if VLC is a better thing to use.
For your sake, I want you to feel like, just want to clear.
At this point, who are we looking at?
This appears to be the defendant, his son, and a family member that I don't know.
Okay. And is this when you're speaking with him, when you're speaking with, right after this, when you're speaking with Killian?
Following in the video would be me speaking to the son alone.
And based off of what you've seen so far, is this a true and accurate depiction of your body cam and your recorded interaction with Killian Henson on April 16, 2023 at approximately 2:24 in the afternoon?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm now clicking play at what is 4 minutes and 19 seconds.
Fine. You mind if I talk to him outside?
You want me to walk off? You want me to leave y'all with it? I'll go out there with the girls.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you. Now you keep me out of jail. You're keeping a notorious criminal, the criminal of the East, out of jail. I'm going to reoffend. I'm going to reoffend JK for you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. That's hilarious. Thank you so much.
I mean, just for propriety's sake, I want you to feel like if there were ever a time that you needed to talk to somebody, that was the time. Okay. And I want.
And so far, is this where you began to speak with Killian Henson with his father outside?
Yes.
Okay. And why is it that you placed his father outside while you speak to him?
I feel like the effort needs to be made to see if the boy is being intimidated by the dad or if he's free to talk to the police.
At any point, would have you interviewed Killian with either his father or biological mother present?
No.
Okay. Why would you not do that?
Please say the question again.
Would there be any reason for you to interview Killian with either the defendant or his biological mother present? Is there a reason why you don't interview them around parents?
In my recollection, you're supposed to have a parent with you if you're trying to prosecute a child, but speaking to a child without their parent is appropriate.
Okay. I guess my thing is, you tell Kevin to go outside, you tell Kevin Henson to go outside. Is there a reason why after getting his permission, you don't interview them together at the same time?
I think that I didn't need to know any more about the situation at the point where my conversation with the boy ended.
Okay. And so when you were relayed information from Killian, let me ask you, did you take out a warrant based off this conversation?
Yes.
All right, and what was the warrant you took out?
Simple battery.
Okay.
You to feel like you can tell me if there's a problem beyond the obvious bad situation that you're in. Okay. Last night, was there anything that involved you as far as you getting hurt?
I tried to push me up against the wall and my shoulders stuff, but that's it.
At that point, did Killian Henson say to you, he pushed me against the wall and that's it?
Yes.
Okay. Did he ever tell you that he was choked or strangled?
No.
Now, I do want to, well, first, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
If you could go ahead and take a look at this and take a brief look and just let me know if you're familiar with it after you've had a chance to take a look.
It looks familiar.
Okay, and is this a report that you filled out?
It is.
Okay. And if you could go ahead and tell the jury
You
whose name is it?
You want to mark it?
Yes, this is marked as defendant for, Your Honor.
Are you admitting it?
And prior to just admitting it, just want to make sure this is Killian Henson's name up top.
Yes, sir.
And what exactly is this up here?
It's called a strangulation report.
And is this the report that you filled out related to this case in Killian Henson?
It is.
Has it been altered or changed in any way?
Not that I can see.
Your Honor, I'd seek to admit defendant's for.
You objection?
I do, Judge. I don't think that this can be tendered into evidence. I think it's very similar to like a police report. I think that he can ask the deputy questions about it and go over it and things like that, but I don't think it's proper to actually tender it. So I don't have any objection of talking about it.
Your Honor, I think it's,
Can I see it, Mr. Shapiro?
I just think it's a lot of medical records.
I wish I could barely walk normal.
And Ms. Jackson, your objection is what?
I don't think that this particular document is able to be tendered into evidence. I don't think that there's been a proper foundation laid. What I was mentioning, Judge, I think it's very similar to the rest of the police report. I mean, neither party can tender that in, and this is an extenuation of the police report. This is literally included in the same packet. It's a supplemental report.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, you're wanting to tender this? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. Objection over. Listen.
Thank you, Judge. Permission to publish, Your Honor?
You may.
And Mr. Treslo, the document that I'm now showing you is marked as Defense's Exhibit 4. Okay. So at what point do you recall doing this? Was this after the first or second time that you had seen Killian that day?
I think it was after the second time.
And is this part of what Investigator Collette called you to go back and do?
Yes,
Okay. And so you did go back and do the thing that she told you to do, which is speak to the child and do the report that she asked you to do?
correct.
Now I want to go through each part of this. When you mark these responses, are these based off of observations or based off of what the person in front of you says? So is this based off Killian's own words?
It would be based on what I've gathered throughout the whole incident.
Talking to him, observing him, everything.
Correct.
And up here, the victim says he was, and do those packets, do they already say the word strangled? Like, does that presuppose that somebody was strangled, or is that just part of the protocol?
It does somehow suggest by its title that there's been a strangulation. And in this case, the conversation included any involvement with his neck, which I recall now as basically being pushed by the neck into a wall. It does design a conversation where you would think there is a strangulation.
So let me ask you about then how the report proceeds, which is on the part where it says ligature used, did you write no there? Let me zoom in a little bit better. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, I typed no in that block.
Okay. And what does ligature used mean? Is that like a rope or is that a hand? What does ligature mean?
It means when something's put around somebody's neck that's not I don't know if it's a hand included, but what it usually means like a rope.
Like some kind of circular mark?
Correct.
Now, as to any 1 to 10, how hard the suspect's grip was, that was a 4, and then from 1 to 10 of pain, it was 5.
Correct.
And it looks like, as to what happened up here, he says he, according to the victim, grabbed by the throat and pushed against the wall, but not, does he say, is there anything about being choked there?
No.
Okay. Did he ever tell you he was choked?
No.
Okay. Now, in conducting the strangulation packet, did you explain this to the jury? Explain the points of the visible injury part of the packet and what you're showing there.
This is like a Word document, and it has, you either have to create these gray shadowed blocks and drag them over to the area of injury. I don't know how I made those gray marks on there, but it was something to do with Word and dragging and dropping it into place. And those were placed on that model of a body based on what I saw on Killian.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about up at the top right, you do put something there, but what's that about? What's box E about? Or wait, is that easy? I can't tell what letter that is.
ABC, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I couldn't tell what that was. But yes, A, B, C, D, E. So what's box E reflect?
The top right, I don't know.
Okay. Because I do want you to go down to, I want you to look a little bit down here, but the boxes below that you check on the neck, did you check anything there?
No.
Okay. Now, under the shoulder mark, you saw some bruises?
If I remember right, it was on his back left shoulder.
Okay. And you took pictures of both his back and his neck, correct?
Correct.
And I'm now showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 5, but I just want to make sure you agree that I'm sorry, that was leading. Where is the mark here?
Just to clarify as we go, I didn't take any photographs with the ruler.
And this is not your photograph.
Okay.
Just a reference to this photograph. Where is that? Is that consistent with where you saw the mark?
I think so.
Was there anything across the center of his neck or anything like that?
Nothing that triggers my memory about it.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you a little bit more about your report. On page 3, that's where you can note, I guess, breathing changes if applicable.
Right. No change in his breathing was detected.
Okay. And as to the description of any visual changes, what does that say? Just on the first line, though.
It says bruised neck and right shoulder blade.
And is that consistent with what you observed when you went out there?
I don't want to be inaccurate or create details that may not be important. I'm remembering this. Perhaps the difference between a photograph, the strangulation report, and which side of him I was standing. But I wrote down there, right shoulder blade.
Okay.
And the way I'm remembering it, it's back left. Like if we were facing each other, it'd probably be his back left shoulder blade.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And going back to your initial time you came out there, you spoke to, did you speak to Lindsay Schubert?
On the 16th.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, and when you went out there, did you interview both Killian Henson and Lindsay Schubert?
No.
Well, I guess when I say interview, did you talk to both Lindsay Schubert and Killian Henson?
No. When I walked in, I was just with Lindsay.
Okay.
And I think the other woman, who I don't know, came in with us. And Killian was sleeping on a couch, and he woke up and saw that it was me and waved and didn't say anything.
So that time you spoke to Lindsay, then the second time when you came out after talking to Investigator Collette, is that when you spoke to Killian?
It was 2 separate locations, but it was the second trip. I've been over there 3 times.
Right.
Where I've dealt with them 3 times. First time was about a month before.
Judge, I'm going to object to anything previous to this incident.
Sustain. Maybe make a more direct question,
Yes.
Mr.
So when you came out that day, the 2 times you came out, one time to Bart Camp Road and the other one to Sardis, between those 2 incidents or between those 2 calls, did you talk to both Killian and Lindsay?
I don't think so. If I did, it would have been by telephone, and I don't remember talking to them on the telephone.
Then you come out to the Bart Camp address at 9 in the morning. That's the first time that you talked to Lindsay in person, correct?
Correct. And
then maybe about 5 hours later, is that when you talked to Killian at the residence that we just saw?
That's right.
Now, when you come back out the second time, did you submit everything you did into evidence, the pictures as well as the supplemental report right here? Did you submit all that?
Yes.
And then after that, did you ever have a meeting with Investigator Collette or any other supervisors?
After that, I think the only contact was by telephone.
Okay. And did you and Investigator Collette agree with how this case should be handled?
No.
Okay. Did Investigator Collette ever reach out to you after you resigned, asking to pick up the case or do anything with it?
No.
Okay. Did she ask you how she could go interview any of these other witnesses?
After I resigned?
Yes, sir.
No, I haven't spoken with her.
And when you walked in to the house, did you ever see a broken phone?
No.
Okay. Did you ever, did Ms. Schubert ever show you which objects were used during the altercation?
I don't think so.
Okay. And did you have any involvement with her going to the hospital?
No.
Did after your resignation, did you speak or did you get involved in this case anymore? I mean, did you ever speak to Killian again or anybody else?
The defendant contacted me either by telephone or text.
And we can't get into what the defendant told you, so not
Okay.
But did you make an arrest that day on the 16th?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you took Mr. Henson over to the Hall County Jail?
Yes.
And that was a warrant for simple assault, family violence, correct?
Yes. No, simple battery.
Simple battery. I think those are all the questions that I have at this moment.
All right, Mr. Treslo, I want to ask you, whenever you did take that warrant for simple battery, when you took Mr. Henson into custody from the Bar Camp Road residence, I think defense tendered in one of your body cams from that. Do you remember taking him into custody on that date?
Yes.
And may I approach the witness?
You may.
I think this is state 7, Judge, or 8?
States 8.
States 8. Will you just tell me if you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of Mr. Henson on that date?
Yes.
Okay, and Judge, at this point, I move to tender this as States 8.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 8 is admitted.
And Mr. Treslo, at this point in time, did you notice any injuries or anything about Mr. Henson's body when you took him into custody on that date and time?
No.
So the first time you went out and spoke to folks, that was morning of April 16th, is that right? For this case?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And when you got out there, you were outside of your patrol car and you initially made contact with Lindsay Schubert and someone else, potentially her mom. Is that right?
Yes.
I believe this was previously tendered and admitted. This was your first body cam video. I'm going to go ahead and start where defense counsel started at the 150 mark and play there for a moment in time. Is that Ms. Schubert on the screen there?
Yes.
And I'm going to play at 150.
Okay, so Kevin, the dad that was here last night, snapped. I don't know what happened, but he hit me in the head with a stool. My head was bleeding. He tried to choke me out. I'm scared to go in my house. I told him last night he needed to leave, but I don't know if he's here. And I stopped at the fire station.
This is your house?
All right, and so would you agree with me that Ms. Schubert describes multiple violent things to which your first question is, this is your house?
Yes.
And you don't ever ask her any further information about the injury to her head? Yes?
I did not ask her any further questions about her head.
Did you ask her, and you didn't also ask her any further questions about being quote unquote choked out, did you?
No.
After she told you this and you asked about whether or not it was her house, you then proceeded in to get Mr. Henson to leave, is that right?
She asked me to have him leave. I asked her, what would you like the outcome of this to be? And she said, I just want him out, which is a very common end state for people in these kind of disputes.
But you didn't do any more interview than what we see as of right here on this interview. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay. And I guess at some point you were aware that she had gone to the hospital. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And that was actually because you had had some phone calls with her where she said that she had gone to the hospital.
I don't remember who told me she'd gone to the hospital.
Okay. Do you need to listen to those calls to refresh your memory?
No.
Okay. Did you have calls with her that she went to the emergency room because of her head?
I don't remember.
Okay. You had multiple different body cam videos as part of this case. Is that accurate?
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Make sure this is the right one. All right. Is this one of your body cam videos?
Yes.
Now I'm going to go to, well, have you had a chance to review it before court today?
No.
Okay, well then I'll play more of it so you can tell us if,
Your Honor, I ask that we do this outside the jury's presence.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll let you step back to the jury room for just a moment. Might be a good time to take a restroom break if you need one.
You gonna go first?
I can.
I'll get this down.
So was she.
I'll get this down.
what do I do?
All right, Ms. Jackson, you go mark that as an exhibit.
I was trying to, Judge.
All right.
I don't know if I need to let the witness just hear some more or,
Why don't, just for purposes of the record, give it a number.
9.
All right, stays 9. All right, if you want to
Yeah, thank you.
play it further, see if it refreshes his recollection, you can do that.
All right, let me get over here. That's still not the right one.
Okay, I'm gonna swing over there and talk to you, okay? The one on Thompson Bridge Road, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna swing over there and talk to you, okay?
Okay.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I still feel good. I don't feel good.
Okay. I'm on the way.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So it would be that, and then I'd also be asking to tender a separate body cam with another phone call with Lindsay.
Anybody say anything to you last night?
No.
Wait, no, let's see. I think it's just the first one where she's talking about going to urgent care. So that's the body cam one, yes. So that one, Judge.
Did you want to play it for him, see if it
I already,
refreshes his?
the one I already did, Judge, the first one.
All right. Did you want to ask him questions about it?
I can if the court wants me to proffer. So do you remember having a conversation with Lindsay Schubert via telephone?
I do now.
Did she talk to you about going to urgent care, the ER, somewhere to get additional treatment?
I think the beginning of that conversation was her saying that she'd gone to urgent care.
Hey, Ms. Schubert, this is Deputy Treslo.
Yes.
Hey there. How's everything going right now?
I'm in urgent care to get my head worked out.
Okay, which one? The one on Thompson Bridge Road or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna swing over there and talk to you, okay?
Okay.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I still feel good. I don't feel good.
Okay. I'm on the way.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Ms. Jackson, how you want to proceed?
I will be seeking to tender this portion of the body cam.
Okay. Any objection to that, Mr. Spirit?
There you are.
All right, let's bring the jury back in. You can play that and just ask him if it refreshes his recollection. Go from there.
Ready? Because we're ready to go.
All right, two in the back. Anybody else need a restroom break?
Good, Your Honor.
Mr. Hinson, you need a restroom break? All right, we're going to just hold in place for a second. I'll take off if you need to go. We won't start without you.
All right.
He says he can present all my hands. I don't know.
Now I got one missing. So now I got one missing.
I know, we're ready to go. You just let me know they're all back.
let's take a break while they're getting the jury and watch something. Ooh, not that. That's the wrong one. That'll get me demonetized. That's okay. I'll cut this part out later. I'm just going to cut this part out later. That's not it. I keep grabbing the wrong thing. I did the same thing. Okay. All right. I never even knew this was a thing. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? I had no idea that was a thing. Did you guys ever know that was a thing before? Did anybody ever see that before? I can't believe we saw that. I just got some bad news right in the middle of my stream. So I needed that.
All right, bring the jury in. Ms. Jackson, you're just going to note, I guess you didn't go 10, note the time you're playing until the time you're ending.
Yeah, it's just like normal, Judge.
Okay, just that.
Yeah.
There you go. Everybody get this up now.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Ms. Jackson, please proceed.
All right. Now, after having watched the video, Mr. Treslo, is your memory sufficiently refreshed?
Yes, ma'am.
And the part of the video that we played, was that a fair and accurate depiction of your phone call with Lindsay on that date?
Yes.
And Judge, at this point, I'd move to tender States 9.
No objection.
States 9 is admitted.
And I'm going to start it at timestamp 8-minute, 40-second mark.
Hey, Ms. Schubert, this is Deputy Treslo.
Yes,
Hey there. How's everything going right now?
I'm in urgent care to get my head worked out.
Okay, which one? The one on Thompson Bridge Road, or?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna swing over there and talk to you, okay?
okay.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I just don't feel good. I don't feel good.
Okay. I'm on the way.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Stop it at 9:14. Deputy Treslo, you never actually went and interviewed Lindsay Schubert, did you?
No.
Okay. And when you first went out there to the residence on the morning of, that's when she first told you that he had tried to choke her out and that she was hit over the head. Is that right?
Yes.
And then your body cam footage from that initial interaction is approximately 9 minutes. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And I'm going to pull that up. That's already been previously, 10 minutes, previously admitted. And so would you agree with me that at no point during that 9 or 10 minute body cam did you ever attempt to speak to Killian Henson?
Yes.
You would agree with me that you did not speak to him?
I did not speak with him.
And you would agree with me that he was in fact awake when you walked through and he was on the couch there right on the right?
That's correct.
But at no point did you speak to him. You just went right back to Ronald Henson to get him to leave the residence.
That's right.
And then later on, even after Lindsay told you about being struck over the head, attempted to be choked out, all of those things, you never checked her head. Is that right?
That's right.
You never checked her neck or anything like that.
That's right.
And when you went to get Mr. Henson out of the back of the house, you didn't walk through any other rooms of the house. Is that right?
Went from the door by the pool to ask him to leave and back out the same way.
And he was in the back bedroom. Is that correct?
That's right.
And you never went in the bathroom?
Nope.
You never walked over near the couch where Killian was?
Nope.
You never took any pictures of the residence or anything like that?
No.
And you would agree with me that at least at some point during your body cam footage, you can see Killian sort of like holding at his shoulder. Is that right?
No, not on the first call. Are you talking about at the second residence or the first call?
No, I'm going to go to around 4:30 here. This is, I think, when you're walking back out. So it's 4:31. Do you see him sitting on the couch over there?
I do.
Is he attempting to sort of hold at his shoulder?
I wouldn't read it like that.
Okay. What would you read it as?
Really, his body language to me says, I feel awkward that the police are in my house and I just woke up.
Okay. But like I said, you never went back and questioned him or anything like that?
No,
So after your 9 or 10 minute interaction, you were done as far as you could tell?
that's right.
And at some point, Lieutenant Collette says, hey, getting some information. Can you go and follow up and see if there was anything else going on? Is that accurate?
Yes,
And so you go over to Jennifer Wheeler's house, right?
correct.
And when you get to Jennifer Wheeler's house, that is when that second body cam comes in. Is that right?
That's right.
And that is where you ask Mr. Henson to leave the residence and go outside, and then speak to Killian there in the living room of that residence. Is that right?
That's right.
And I'm going to start around 4:28 and publish that. It's already been admitted.
Can you tell me which exhibit that is?
I believe it was Defenses 3. It was one of the last ones that defense tendered, Judge. It's the
Yes,
same
ma'am.
video.
D3. Go ahead.
Propriety's sake, I want you to feel like if there were ever a time that you needed to talk to somebody, that was the time, okay? And I want you to feel like you can tell me if there's a problem beyond the obvious bad situation that you're in, okay? Last night, was there anything that involved you as far as you getting hurt?
I tried to push me up against the wall and my shoulders scraped up, but that's it.
And so Killian says he pushed me up against the wall and my shoulders bruised up. Is that accurate?
I think that covers the general message, but I think he specifically said, could you play it again?
Yes.
Because I feel like he said he pushed me up against the wall and that's about it.
I want you to feel like if there were ever a time that you needed to talk to somebody, that was the time, okay? And I want you to feel like you can tell me if there's a problem beyond the obvious bad situation that you're in, okay? Last night, was there anything that involved you as far as you getting hurt?
I tried to push me up against the wall and my shoulders scraped up, but that's it. Can you give me a 21 reference?
See, we're just getting all kinds of different.
And so does he say he pushed me up against the wall and my shoulders kind of bruised up and that's about it?
That's right.
Okay, cool. And you didn't really ask him any more details about, hey, how were you held against the wall or any other specific questions like that? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And when you say that, well, one, you said that it's important to have nobody around influencing the child. Would you agree with that? Jennifer Wheeler sitting right there the entirety of your interview?
The other lady on the couch,
Correct.
I think she was there the whole time.
Okay. And when you say that you completed this strangulation packet, you didn't actually go through with Killian and ask him some of these specific questions, did you?
No,
You just filled this out based on the couple seconds here that we see in this video. Is that accurate?
that's right.
And so you just surmised and sort of made up the answers in this as you saw it fit from this limited interaction. Is that accurate?
That's right.
Okay. And at the end of your initial contact with Lindsay Schubert, you actually pulled Lindsay Schubert and Ronald Henson right next to each other, did you not?
At the second residence,
No. At the first residence, when you asked him to leave?
okay, and your question is, did I pull them together?
Did you ask them to come right next to each other and stand next to each other?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right, and I'm going to start this at 7:19. This has already been admitted into evidence.
This is the end. Okay. This in your house. It's got to be over.
Just tried to be your friend, Kevin.
When can I get my stuff?
And so that voice there, was that Lindsay coming up on the side?
I think so.
And so you asked them to both come over and stand next to each other, even though you had just been told that she had been tried to been choked out by him and hit over the head with a blunt object.
About 12 hours prior to this, everyone had said.
And I'm not asking you about anything previous. I'm asking you just about this incident.
That's right. I had them to make sure, yes, I asked them to stand next to each other.
Okay. And is that ever taught anywhere in your training as a law enforcement officer to have a victim stand next to an abuser?
I don't think so.
Okay. Now, after you spoke with Lindsay about going to the urgent care, you had some questions about her head and how she was feeling. You never followed up on that. Did you follow up on the fact that she had gone to the hospital?
No,
And did you actually speak to Lieutenant Collette sort of throughout this investigation? I think you had testified to.
yes.
Now, at some point, she directed you to go and do the strangulation packet, right?
Yes,
And she directed you to go and make follow-up interviews. Is that correct?
yes,
And did she also direct you to make sure that the appropriate charges were brought based on the information that was now come to light? Is that correct?
yes,
And at some point after this, you said that you had left the department. Is that correct?
yes,
And I understand that if I could just understand a little bit about, was there a meeting that went on right prior to you leaving the police department?
yes,
And I'm not asking about necessarily what somebody said or anything else during the meeting, but I'm just trying to figure out, was the meeting at some point having to pertain to this case and the way it was handled?
yes,
And midway through that meeting, did you then leave the meeting and leave the department?
yes,
Okay. And you, have you had a chance to review any of the hospital records or anything like that by chance?
no.
All right, Deputy, or Mr. Treslo, that's all the questions that I have. Thank you.
There was a time on that body cam we were watching, was there carpet in the residence? Like a carpet coming in the door?
At the first residence or the second residence?
First residence?
I don't remember.
Publishing what was previously admitted.
This is D2.
Yes, Your Honor. Defendant second. Oh, whoa.
You may want to get your flash drive. Just because, like, I don't know how they're numbered.
And just marking it at 427, below walking into the back of the house, you see a carpet as you come into the house.
I do.
And I want to ask you that investigator Collette made a call to you asking you to take out the appropriate charges. Is that what happened?
I don't remember the exact words she used, but she may have called 4 or 5 times that day and had all kinds of instructions for this case.
And to your knowledge, did she ever meet with Ms. Schubert?
Not to my direct knowledge, but I'm pretty sure she did.
Okay. And when you were told to go back out there, did you take out any warrants for aggravated assault?
No,
Why not?
because I believe that what happened was,
And Judge, I'm going to object to his belief about what happened.
okay, based,
I'll
go ahead, Judge, sorry.
I'll sustain the objection. What he didn't take out charges for, not relevant.
Did you see any evidence of aggravated assault?
No,
Okay. Did you, the second time when you went out there to speak with Killian Henson, you said that after being directed by Investigator Collette or by Lieutenant Collette, that you completed this report?
yes,
Now, I think you said to Ms. Jackson that you just put in answers here. Were those answers based off of questions you asked to Killian, or what were these answers based off of?
my general understanding of what had happened.
Okay, so kind of based off of your conversation, the 10-minute conversation with Killian, based off that?
Yes,
And for example, if you wrote that the pain was 5, between 1 and 10, would that be based off something he showed you?
it was just an estimate.
Now, there's parts that I think Ms. Jackson said were not filled in with regards to strangulation. So why did you ask him questions about strangulation specifically?
What I understood happened was that he was pushed up against the wall, and strangulation was not a key part of the discussion.
Thank you. And when you first went out, the first time when you went to the back and got Ronald Henson from the house, did you know at that point that Killian might have been hurt?
No,
Once you knew Killian might have been hurt, did you have a more in-depth conversation with him?
the minute I thought that Killian had been hurt, I arrested the defendant.
Yes, thank you.
And that was in my trip to the second residence.
Okay. And that was you speaking to Ms. Schubert later on when she told you she went to urgent care and you asked her if she was all right?
No, are you asking when did I find out that Killian was hurt?
No, as to the conversation that you have with Lindsay Schubert later, that was you talking to her about her going to urgent care, correct?
Yes.
And At this time, had you been on patrol for a while?
With this agency, I'd been on patrol for maybe 4 or 5 months, and in total in law enforcement, probably several years, 6 years, 5 years.
And have you been able to investigate different domestic cases and assess all kinds of different situations?
Yes,
And as part of being in law enforcement and your time in the military, have you been trained in, I guess, assessing situations for danger?
yes,
And did you come out at some point and I guess at 2 different points and assess the situation?
yes,
And did you do at least what you thought was appropriate at the time?
absolutely.
Thank you very much, sir.
So, Mr. Treslo, you thought it was appropriate to hear that someone tried to choke someone out and was struck over the head and didn't do anything about it, is that right?
Yes,
And you thought it was appropriate after hearing that to walk right past a child in the same residence and not say anything about it, is that right?
Thank you.
no.
But that's what you did, correct?
I saw that the child was there and he had nothing to say to me.
But you didn't ask him though, did you?
No,
And you thought it was appropriate after all that happened was to go in there and get the person that was described as the abuser just to leave and take off walking down the road. Is that right?
yes,
And then you thought it was appropriate, even after you talked to Lindsay Schubert, who said she was at the urgent care, to not even investigate that further. Is that right?
that's right.
And then you filled out this strangulation packet and everything like that after having a maybe couple minute long conversation with the child victim. Is that right?
That's right.
Nothing further.
And do you know if
Mr. Spear, we're done. You've had twice.
I've seen Ms. Jackson do that 3 times.
All right, thank you. You can step down.
Thank you.
Any reason why this witness can't be excused?
Other than I would like a chance to redirect him, that's all.
All right. Mr. Treswell, if you'll just stick around and we'll revisit that in a minute.
Yes, sir.
Call your next witness. Do you need a minute, Mr. Spear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you step back to the jury room for just a moment.
I don't remember this break, so I don't know if I cut it out. Maybe it's not a break. Maybe it's not.
Judge, if I may, if the defendant chooses to testify outside of the 10-year period of time for his convictions, I think there's 3 that apply to that. The other 3 convictions that he has, I believe the court needs to conduct a balancing test on whether or not those would be admissible. So in the event he chooses to testify, I would be asking the court to do that, and I'll be heard on that further if necessary.
All right. Mr. Spear, changing gears for just a moment. If you want to put on the record what you wanted to do with your third direct on the last witness, I'll let you be on the record.
Your Honor, I'm good. It's, I think the only question I was probably going to ask was nobody else, the very things that they're saying you did not do, nobody else went out and did those things, but he resigned after, so he wouldn't have knowledge as to what people did or didn't do.
I'm going to maintain my ruling. Somebody could let Mr. Treswell know he's free to go if y'all are done with him.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have another witness, Mr. Spear?
Unless Mr. Henson would like to testify, then no, Your Honor.
Mr. Henson, have you decided whether you want to testify or not? Like I told you earlier, it's really a decision for you to make.
Thank you, Fozzie.
I would encourage you to talk to Mr. Shapiro. He has lots of experience and can give you good advice, but at the end of the day, it's your decision. You're the one who has to live with it, because if you choose to testify, the state's gonna be able to ask you questions, just like he's been able to ask the state's witnesses questions. And if you don't testify, you gotta live with that too. I'll tell the jury they can't hold it against you in any way, because you're not required to present any evidence, and you certainly are not required to testify, and the state can't comment on the fact that you didn't testify if that's what you choose to do. Do you need any more time to talk to Mr. Shapiro?
No, I don't think it's gonna add anything to it by me testifying
All right, so you're choosing not to testify?
this time yet.
Okay. All right, well, that'll negate us having to have a hearing on these prior convictions as well. We won't need to address that. Then, Mr. Shapiro, are you gonna rest at this time?
Sorry, 1 second. No, Your Honor, that would be our last witness.
So you are gonna rest at this time?
Yes, sorry, we would rest.
All right, so here's the plan. We'll go see if you can get the charges. I'm gonna bring the jury back in and let you announce that you rest, Mr. Shapiro, so I can tell them that all the evidence is closed. And then I'm gonna excuse the jury, and we're gonna have a charge conference, and then we'll just come back in the morning and do closing arguments in the morning and go from there. Does that satisfy you, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Shapiro?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do we have all the jurors back in there? If they are, let's bring them in. All right, everyone, please be seated. Mr. Shapiro.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense rests.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that announcement, you've heard all the evidence you're going to hear in this case, unless the state has rebuttal evidence. State have any rebuttal evidence?
No, Your Honor.
All right. With that announcement, you've heard all the evidence you're going to hear in this case. And the next phase of the trial would be closing arguments. And we're going to do that in the morning. The attorneys and I have some work we got to do, but it doesn't require your presence. So I'm going to let you go home early, and we're going to recess for the evening. Please remember your admonitions. Don't discuss the case with anybody. Don't do any research. Just enjoy your evening. You can leave your notepads in the jury room. We'll lock the jury room tonight. If you'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., ready to listen to closing arguments, okay? Thank you very much.
Leave everything good. Thank you.
That's why I sit down right there.
JK, thank you.
This is the exciting part, but
All right, let's do this. Let's take about a 5-minute recess. You can go to the restroom. Let me see. Josh was trying to get those charges loaded on the iPad, and we'll get started here in just a moment.
yes, sir.
Oh, guys, thank you so much for coming out today. I really, really appreciate it. Most of us will pop over to OJ. Or not. Some of us will pop over to OJ. Most of us will close out. But thank you for so much for coming out. Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Fozzie. I appreciate it. I'm waiting to see if Jenny gets hit. That's right, girl. Go make me my money. I can't see if it went through them all. Did it go through them all? Are all 50 done? No. Bobby? Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. Yeah. Look, guys. There you go, Mom. Jenny, I'll pay you the $20 to turn your gift memberships off for 10 minutes. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will see you and OJ really, really soon. Bye, guys. See ya.
Got these life echoes, digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Dream tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Her sing song in a way there's no